I'll never forget the day that I realized that I can't go back to the way things were. We've all had those moments in our lives, whether we realize it's a failed relationship or marriage we cannot go back to, if it's a job, if it's a way of life and a way of living. And before we come to that moment, we've had signs, we've had signals, and even before that, we have already felt it somewhere in our bones and in our bodies. And even before that, we've been searching outside of ourselves for safety, something to tell us otherwise that we can stay in comfort in an uncomfortable place. And then what happens is we've built this loop, this perpetual loop in our lives, trying to hold it all together. You're caught between this place of efforting and embodiment, between realizing and reclamation, between awakening and remembering. No amount of information, no amount of money, no amount of achievement or success can carry you through moments like that. And yet, what comes next remains a mystery. And that uncertainty has you stuck. And that's what I call the threshold moment. It's not an ending. It's not a beginning. It's that sacred in between space, that place where everything familiar begins to dissolve. Everything you thought you knew, everything you believed in collapses so that truth can finally have room to arrive. I've come out, I've just recently come out of my own threshold moment, and I thought I was ready. I mean, I have been on my personal evolutionary journey for years. I've had to face some of the most traumatic loss in my life. I've practiced surrendering over and over again because there was nothing else I could do. I had to learn to let go. But I wasn't prepared for what even like came after surrendering, right? There is this stillness in this waiting period. It feels like a void. Like, is anyone listening to me? Is anyone out there? Sort of thing. But what it is a reorientation of your soul. And that is uncomfortable because our culture doesn't reward us for stillness. It rewards us for doing and performing. So while I'm sitting in this place expecting that someone somewhere will tell me what to do next, life was really waiting for me. I had spent much of my life in survival mode. I don't know if some of you know what that feels like. And just this year, I was trying to build something that just didn't fit anymore. I was trying to force something to work because I was terrified of what would happen if it didn't. This survival story that I had been carrying with me since a child had taught me that the doing and efforting and the performance is what keeps you alive. And so that followed me through life. But interestingly, this season, this time that we're in, this era that we're entering in, it doesn't respond to performance anymore. The universe won't let me do life as usual. So, and no matter what we ask the universe during times like that, it doesn't respond to what we say we want. It responds to what we embody while we ask. We are being called to remember who we are, the parts of ourselves that we've forgotten or perhaps never truly knew. The stakes have never been higher for humanity. We are witnessing record layoffs and global instability and just this erosion of trust in leadership. Life is rearranging us, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos. This moment is calling us to become the kind of leaders who can guide one another through ambiguity. But first, we have to learn how to guide ourselves through it, through our own unraveling, through our own inner crisis. Because the final shift over the threshold, it isn't mental or external, it's somatic. The shift begins the moment your body remembers what your mind forgot. That safety was never meant to come from control. It doesn't come from outside of you. The final shift over the threshold isn't something you think your way through. It's something you feel your way into. For me, that moment began quietly, not in my mind, but in my body. All of that surrendering, all of that waiting, all of the letting go, what was left wasn't emptiness. It was space. Space to play, space to create, space to listen, space to remember, space to feel my nervous system, what my nervous system had been trying to tell me all along. It's safe to be me. It's safe in here, in this body. So I started noticing the tension that showed up when I was trying to force things back into old shapes, like trying to fit a square into a circle, a small circle, right? I would sense the elevation in my blood pressure as I was trying to figure out, what do I do next? The exhaustion that came from this constant performing readiness when I really wasn't ready at all. And that's when I realized that my body had been holding the map all along. In my previous videos, I talk about the mirror and the map, right? This process that you go through as you're walking through this threshold. And the map isn't about direction, it's about communication, right? It's that internal GPS of our soul, the pulse or the nudge that says, this is true for me. This is too much. This is what peace feels like. Huh. The map speaks in sensations, not strategy. It speaks in intuition, not instruction. And the more I listened, the more I began to trust that every small signal, every whisper of fatigue, every burst of energy was guiding me towards the next step of remembering. If you're standing in your own threshold moment right now, here's what I've learned. Regulation is remembrance. Every time you return to your body, you remind your nervous system that it's safe, that you don't have to try to outrun your life, right? There's a segment, a portion of my Wild Woman Leadership program that I call Body as Oracle, your body as the oracle. This is learning to listen to your body and to create devotion and practice around listening. These are the practices that began to root me back into myself. They're very simple, but they're sacred acts that anyone can do. So we're going to go ahead and just do a quick one right now, just so you can feel that as a daily practice that you can do for yourself. So I want you to begin by placing one hand on your heart and one on your belly. And I want you to feel your breath meet your hands. Inhale for 4 counts. Exhale for 6. Let your exhale be your surrender. Whenever anxiety arises, just whisper to yourself, I release the timeline where I must earn my freedom. Let your words come from your body. This type of small ritual, just to pause, breathe, touch, stillness, it begins to rebuild your relationship with safety. This is a practice that's actually a part of day 2 in the Threshold Journey that will be a part of the Emergent Women Collective when you join that community. There's a 7-day journey that I put together. And regulating your nervous system is on day 2. This is so pivotal and so important because a practice like this softens the survival patterns that have told us that we have to earn to rest. We have to prove our worthiness. We have to perform peace. So the more I practiced, the more I made this a part of my life, and my life became a devotion to myself, the more my body began to trust me again. And that's what the map is. It's a relationship with your own aliveness. That's what it truly means to begin again. So when people ask me now, how did you know what to do next? I tell them the truth. I didn't. I just kept following the next true feeling, the next honest breath, the next whisper that said, you know, here, there, this way. The truth is, beginning again doesn't mean starting from scratch. It means beginning from wisdom. Within us all, we have an ancient wisdom that's waiting for us to remember. And it's calling for us to just walk forward, not because we have a plan, but because we've remembered our natural rhythm. And once your nervous system begins to trust that rhythm, something ancient inside you starts to stir. Desire returns. Not the kind that you need to produce and hustle, but the kind that is like this low vibrational hum beneath the surface that's whispering, you got this. You got this. This is where remembrance begins. So if you've been standing at your own threshold moment, waiting for what's next, then I want to invite you to join me on November the 10th. I'm guiding a live experience called the Threshold Activation Embodied Remembrance. It's a 90-minute journey of release, ritual, and return. Together, we'll breathe into that space between the old story and the new one and practice what it means to live from the body's wisdom, the wisdom that has always known the way home. So if you want to register for that, the link will be in the description box below. Until then, I'm Marjorie, and this is the work of remembering who we are and who we were before the world told us who to be.